Hi everyone. Today we are going to learn a little bit more about TravelJoy. My name is SADE Howard. I am the owner of TravelHolics Travel Agency and the owner of Gypsy CRM. So today we are going to kind of go out of the Gypsy CRM system and we are going to talk about TravelJoy. Many of the travel agents in our industry, we use TravelJoy as our CRM management tool for quoting, of course, which is today's lesson, but also email communication, invoice payments, group booking links, all of these different things. But today we're going to specifically talk about how to make a quote in TravelJoy, and the types of quotes, but more so also on how to have a good presentation of the quote that you're creating in TravelJoy. Some agents I found, get a little lost on how to get started, or what is the best way to display or make sure that you're including all of the information needed in your TravelJoy quote. So we're going to go over that and start with the presentation of that quote. So let's get started. I have two quotes here that I'm going to show you how I created these and how you too can have these amazing looking quotes, where to get content from, how to kind of pair it all together if you're using one vendor, multiple vendors, and kind of how that works and how it looks. So the first one here is a FIT booking, meaning that we have a daily itinerary throughout a destination where you are pulling together the elements, whether it's the flights are with one vendor, the hotels are with another, or maybe the flight and the hotel are together, but the transfers and the excursions are through another vendor. We'll go over that. We will also go over our basic Caribbean-based trips when you have clients that really just want the basics, meaning they want their flight, their hotel, and their transfers and taxes included, and how you can align the presentation for them as well. So with that being said, today's vendor we're going to be using is Vax Vacations, and within Vax I have decided to use FunJet Vacations. So in here, first thing I'm going to do is go to my FunJet Vacations tab, and I am also going to select flight plus hotel plus transfers Mexican Caribbean, because that's what we're kind of focusing on today. And I'm going to choose a flight from Atlanta, and let's just say to Cancun. I'm going to stick with my 2 adults, and I am also going to kind of choose a date a little further out, so that way we can see final payment options and all that good stuff. So I'm going to choose me a 5-night vacation, and I'm going to hit start. In today's lesson, I'm not going to be going over essentially how to use the vendors, because that's a different video, but we're going to more so focus on how to use the information that we find within the vendor platform to create our quote. While that is loading, actually, let's see. Let's go back and try again. FunJet. We will choose this. Let me just change my change my departure city. Go a little further out and just do like a Monday through Friday. So while these are loading, the other thing that you would want to do is to prepare your client profile within TravelJoy. You want to make sure that you've added your client to the TravelJoy system as a new client. And then you would also want to pick your start and end dates within your trip as well. And what we're going to use is the TravelJoy Smart Proposals. So I'm going to come over here to create, and I'm going to select Smart Proposal. I'm also going to minimize my video here just so that you can see all the elements that we need. I don't know what is going on with VAX today. We may have to choose a different vendor altogether, but let's just see. Try one more time. And let's try. If this doesn't work, then we'll move on to another vendor that we can use. Just get that together just in case. Okay, well, I guess there may be an issue with VAX today, so let's just try a different vendor. I'm going to pull in Vacation Express as our vendor for example today. I'm going to start from the top in that I'm using a price packaged. We'll stick with Philadelphia to Cancun, and I'm going to change my dates of further out so that way we will have enough time for final payment. So when I look to get started with these smart proposals within TravelJoy, the first thing I want to do is kind of give my trip a name. And that's where you'll see this larger displayed area for birthday in Mexico. Of course, something more creative would be nice, right? The next thing I want to do is really look at the elements of my travel dates, the deposit, final due date, inclusions, and what those flights are going to be if we are using flights. And then, of course, if you have any terms and conditions, like please note, rates are subject to availability until deposit is applied. Things like that is what we want to put in our meat and potatoes in the beginning of your booking. So the next thing is you're going to want to decide on how many options you are going to supply your client. In my example, I'm using 3 options, and I'm listing the room category for each of those rooms. And as they are displayed, you will see my option 1 is Hideaway at Royalton. And then we also have my Garden View, which is my room type. And then I'm going to list the rates. So let's start there. Coming out of Philadelphia to Cancun, the suggested flights are on American nonstop. That's great. We'll keep that. The first available option is going to be the adults only Hideaway at Royalton Riviera Cancun. And I want to check out the room types. As we're looking at these room types, of course, you can see the room rates are changing. So I think for the sake of this, I want to go with the, let's go with the luxury junior suite ocean view with terrace jacuzzi. So the first things first is I have my dates together. Great. September 1st through 5th. Now I'm going to pull in my flights. I know that I'm using American Airlines. I don't, and this is a preference to you, if you want to include the actual airlines and flight number for your clients. I usually use the number, the flight times, and round off the end number, like the minutes, just so that, clients have an idea of what's being included, but they don't have the exact flight number or exact flight times in terms of them being able to shop that quote around. But again, this is your preference. So in my main test Cancun trip will be my display. I'm going to put in my travel dates, deposit, final due, and inclusions. My test dates for this is the 1st through the 5th of September. 1st through 5th. I naturally know that Vacations Express is a $300 deposit per person. So, and we will also add the elements in bold so that they can kind of separate themselves when they're being displayed for your client. Now, while we're kind of hovering over there, the first thing we're going to do is add a section. And in that section, we are going to say, this is option 1. And our option, if you click here, the hyperlink, you'll see that the name of the resort will also kind of be listed here. So I just kind of copy and paste that. And this is my first option. I'm going to add an item or an element, as I would like to call them, and I would keep it as general. In this general description, that's where I'm going to put my room type information first. So my room type I'm doing is the luxury ocean view with terrace jacuzzi. Once I double click that, I'm going to see the name and the information in terms of the description of this room. So I'm also going to use that in my copy and paste, and I'll put room info, and then here I would like to underline and bold my room info. I'm going to use a bullet point just because I really want that to kind of show up separately for the client. Sometimes it's lists that really help with help clients kind of see what is being included, if that makes sense. They're getting a chance to really compartmentalize, I guess, every element of the displayed quote so that they're not confused. The second thing I'm going to want to do is get the hotel info. And again, I will be marking this bold and underline, and I will put a bullet point. And for my hotel info, I'm going to come back. I'm going to select the more button because that's Vacation Express. It depends on how detailed you want to be. Either you can use this first paragraph here, or you can kind of come down and take the more larger larger description. I find that if you're using Vacation Express, the first paragraph up top is just like a shortened version of what they're trying to explain or list in terms of inclusions down below. So I kind of like the more descriptive one. So make your decision as to which one you'd like to use. And then I would just add my information there. Now, we also want to note that we have an area for photos. I find that when you do your photos, you want to give your clients a definitely a good description of what they can expect, but you also don't want to add too many photos because then it kind of pushes down the next option and makes it a little harder to read. Great way when using TravelJoy's smart proposal for pictures is just to use the images from Google. So I would just take the hotel name, pop that into Google. I'm going to minimize my screen here so that you can see both sides. I'm going to come over here to images, And I'm going to kind of scroll through some of the images that I like. If this is one that I like, I'm going to grab it, like click down, left click on my mouse and just drag it on over. If the file type is not something that TravelJoy accepts, you'll get this message and you just say got it and you look for another one. Normally, if the photos are coming, say, from the Marriott website or the Hilton website or the actual hotel website, a lot of times they won't carry over. So I like to look for photos that can be found on other external websites, just because it makes it a little easier for me when I'm trying to drag and drop, essentially, this photos over. So that's one. Okay, so we have one photo there. Then we're just going to kind of look for some additional photos that are going to highlight the property. Let's see. We got the pool. That's a larger room that may lead us. Okay, so this is clearly an ocean view room, and it's a king. That's nice, but I kind of want to show it long form, kind of like this. Now, this may or may not work because it's from the Royalton website, which is great, but let's see. Oh, that one worked. Great. So sometimes people would like to see, like, hey, how does the bathroom look? Okay, that's another great shot to show. I also kind of like to show around the hotel in terms of maybe the restaurant. So I'll put that into Google as well and see what comes up, because you gotta let people know, like, hey, this is what you can expect when you're staying there. Look at some of these options for the restaurants. I've kind of chosen the one I wanted, and I'm gonna show you this too. When I'm looking at the amount of photos that I like to include, I like to include 5, just because it's not too underwhelming, but it's also not overwhelming. And then also from a display standpoint, when you look at these photos, you'll have your very first photo would be the main photo of your option. And then the other 4 photos kind of align, and they line up with the wording and the description that you have on the left side as well. So it's not too overwhelming. And of course, as clients click on it, they can scroll through each of those photos. So I like to keep my photos around 5 photos, but if you like more, do more. Next, we are going to look at the rate of your booking. So this is the luxury junior suite ocean view terrace. We know that it's $13.14 per person. We're going to click on this option and select it. Oh, also going back up to the flights. This is American Airline flights, departing Philly at 8:25, arriving at 11:10. What I would do here, I would put my flight information. It's okay if you add the airline name. And then I also like to include a description of like your going and returning home flight. So I use outbound and inbound. I capitalize outbound and inbound. I also like to colonize and then say depart at. That's kind of my thing, just when I'm looking or trying to make it presentable and easier for clients to read. Again, so because the flight information is with American Airlines is my title, I would bold that, but I would also underline it. And then when I use inbound or outbound, I will only use the bold and not the underline. We know that this flight is at 8:25. I would put 8:30 a.m. to arrive at, was it 11:10? So I would say 11 a.m. and then non-stop. I'll put that there. And then the return flight is 2:42 to 7:35. I would depart at 3:00 p.m., arrive at 7:30 p.m. non-stop. Now again, with this kind of going back to the flight information, I would usually put the flight code, the airport code of the departing city. So this is from Philly, so I put PHL up there so that the client could know that as well. So right now we know that in terms of inclusions, we are doing flights, we are doing resort, or you can put all-inclusive resort if that's what you're doing versus a villa or an EP property. Then I would also put transfers and taxes. And again, come to inclusions and highlight. So now going back to our package, I've selected our resort, I've selected our room type, and I'm going to say select as though I'm moving through the screens or the process with Vacation Express so I can actually get to the booking area. The booking area is really going to break down that deposit and final payment terms for me. Many of you know, or if you are new to travel, this is a fun tip with Vacation Express. Automatically, the deposit, when you come to payment schedule and terms, the deposit is always going to be the total cost of the actual flight. So because of that, not everybody is prepared to put down, $800, $600, $1,000 at the time of booking. Vacation Express will allow you to add what's called a reduced deposit plan for $25 per guest. You can add that, click OK, and it would make your deposit $300 per person, or $350. It's reloading. Let's see. It is $300 per person. And when you come down to the pricing of the services, of course, they do not price the flight separate from your room category, but they do list the taxes, the cost of the transfers, which is $32 each, and then the reduced deposit plan is $25, and your package total is $26.78. And here's your listed commission amount and the net payment. The other thing that we are going to look at is our final payment date. The final payment date is found underneath the deposit. Here we have August 2nd. You never want to use the exact deposit date in case, a client A needs more time. B, they submit their payment through your TravelJoy portal, at 11 p.m. and you're already in bed by 8. Always give yourself some grace period. I suggest a minimum of 7 days before, but do what you feel, anywhere between 10 to 5 days before that final payment is due. So I'm going to select that my final payment is going to be due July. Let's do July 28th, 2023. And of course, final due date, I'm going to put that in bold. So when we look at this section and how it's being presented to the client, we can see here that we have our travel dates, we have our deposit, final payment due, what's included, and our flight information here. The next thing that you want to do is, if you are going to give them the option for, say, travel insurance or any type of booking terms that they need to know, like cancellation fees or anything like that, also list them here. You can say optional travel insurance. And we will look at the options that they have. I normally like to use the vacation plan VPP with supplement and the VPP plus. So that's $179 and $89. You can come here and say voucher is $89 per person and cash back is $179 per person. Those are the two options for insurance. Again, I'm going to make sure that those stand out and that they also know that these insurance is non-refundable. So they need to know that, because I don't get it, but of course there's always someone who says that they just didn't know that the cost of their insurance is non-refundable. I normally explain to clients that when you purchase travel insurance, it's just like when you pay your car insurance. You pay your car insurance every month just in case something happens. But if nothing happens, you don't get that money back. And even if something does happen, you still don't get your monthly premium back. So it's the same thing with insurance. Down below, other than flights, I will add a please note section. I also like to add a few asterisks so we can really kind of bring some attention to that area. And of course, naturally, asterisk will call, it's like the code method to say, hey, put the words in between these asterisks into bold font. And that's what it did for me. So now we know that. So please note, you can say, if it's a group trip, you can say all group payments are non-refundable, or rates and space. Oh, you can say is subject to availability with applied deposit. So that lets them know. Oh, I don't know why I say that. That lets them know that, hey, you have to actually put your deposit down in order to lock in your rates. And until then, the space and the rates can change. They're just subject to change. That's not something that we control, obviously. It's something set by the vendor. So that's good to have those terms and conditions in there. Now let's get back to how we like to display our pricing. In the pricing, we know that this trip is going to be $26.79. All you need to do, I find that it goes over better when you speak in per person terms versus the overall cost of the trip. So $26.78 will give you $13.39 per person. So here in my option 1, I like to list $13.39 per person. The other thing I do is I double click this area, copy it, and kind of come in here, and I'm going to say package options and rates. Again, not everybody wants to scroll through your quote, so let's make it a little easier for them. I put in my bullet points again. I have my option 1, the Hideaway Royalton Riviera Cancun, and the rate. And I bold that first option. I'm going to kind of screw that down. Now, for the sake of everything, I'm going to add another section and another element. But in my section space, I'm just going to duplicate that. And I'm also going to duplicate my section name. And I am going to separate them. So I think section name item. I have too many section names, so let's delete that one. My item name, I'm going to, yep, okay. Now, after I duplicated that, I have 2 more sections and 2 more items, which are going to be my option 2 and my option 3. If you're using Vacation Express, you do not have to start completely over from scratch, but what you will need to do is come to this selected hotel area and select change. So, while we are waiting for that, okay, so the list is up. Of course, you would just kind of scroll through, see what hotel option you want to give them. I'm going to just select the Hard Rock Riviera Maya. That is going to be my option 2. And I'm going to put that there. In my description, I know that I am looking for the room rates. I'm going to stick with the deluxe gold room. I've found this information of the description of the room. I put my description of the room. I come back, I grab this information, and I'm going to say resort info and room info. Again, put in my bullet point there. You can even kind of list the name or type of the room again if you feel like that will be very helpful for your clients. My resort info, put my bullet point there, and I am going to go to the more information. Let that pop up. We see this has a smaller paragraph, of course, but you can grab the larger one if you like. Simple copy and pasting. You don't have to reinvent the wheel when you're looking to describe these hotels, because you got to think about it in that every hotel has already done their marketing, right? They know what their ideal client is or the budget and income of their ideal client, and they've put the money and resources into developing these descriptions. So let them do their job, essentially. Let them tell us, essentially, I'm trying to move this up here. Why is that doing that? Okay. Let them tell us the description of their resort. So now I'm going to minimize again. We know that we are doing the Hard Rock Riviera Maya. Go back to my trusty Google, and I'm going to put that in. I can get rid of this. Now I'm looking to add my photos. Again, you want to choose photos that are really going to give you some oversight or depth into the property that you're hosting. That you're quoting. I love the aerial shots so that people can see how massive or intimate a resort may actually be. I love grabbing pictures of the pool or a view of the ocean. So I kind of play around with what I see. I kind of like this one, so I'm going to grab that amongst the options that were there. This is a family-friendly resort, so if you have it, I like to at least include that to let them kind of know if they're a couple or if they're a family. Let them know, like, hey, there's this family feature. This would have been a really nice one too. Okay, well, let's add that one. And then we are selecting the deluxe gold room. So Riviera Maya, I'm going to put the name of the room in, because that's really the room type that I'm looking to showcase. However, I see that there is a difference in this is Hard Rock Hotels, resort suites in Riviera, Mexico. So that tells me that either when I'm looking at these pictures, that there's a brown background and then there is a blue background. That tells me either they offer a club level and a non-club level, or there has been a renovation taking place within the hotel. So in this case, it would be good to kind of just go to the hotel's website, and you want to see what the rooms actually look like that you are looking into booking. Okay, so now we are at the resort's actual website. I want to look at their rooms. This is Hacienda. Let's see, rooms and suites. Ah, look, that brown background room is there. So let's see, this is the deluxe gold. So now we know that the brown colored room is the room type that we need to display in our quote. We don't want to sell our clients a picture or a view or the notion that they're going to get something that looks like that bluish background. And I'm thinking that maybe the bluish background may be on the heaven side, which is their adult only section. So let's just kind of double check that. Ah, and look, there goes the blue background. So now we know that when you Google the Hard Rock and you see the brown versus the blue, the blue is for the heaven adult only section, and the brown is for the family friendly section of sorts. So let's stick with this brownish color here, and I would make that the final picture if it imports. Okay, good. We have that, and now we will go back to our pricing. We are going to select this one. Select. Now, every time you flip-flop or exchange the hotels in Vacation Express, you will have to re-add elements to the trip that you did before. Mainly adding that $50 or $25 per person reduced deposit plan. You're going to have to, add that back every time that you change out the room. We see here that the total is going to be $28.84. So this is our trip total. And again, we just want to do $28.84 divided by 2 and get $14.42 per person. So when our option 2 is listed here, we will list $14.42 per person and on to the next option. And that will be our option 3. And our option 3, I'm going to hit change again. Now, because you're using the same dates and all you're doing, and the same flights, and all you're doing is just switching out the hotel element, of course, the deposit is going to stay the same. The final payment is going to do the same, and you don't have to switch that out. So, also, let's do the Hyatt Zilara. We see here, if we click on that hyperlink, it should open up. Okay, let's not do that then. Let's open up their more info section, and we will just stick with the Ocean View Terrace King, I guess. I'm going to select that as that is the room type. Remember, I'm going to put that there. The hotel is the Hyatt Zilara. In my option name, I'm going to say option 3. And in my description, we have the resort info, room info, and you can always, like I said, bring this down here, get your bullet point going, bold and underline. In our room section, it's not much, but hey, let's grab it. And I'm going to put that there. So we are done with that. In our hotel area, in this case, the top paragraph looks the best. It's a little bit lengthier. So I'm going to grab that, but I'm also going to come down here on the what to know area because it's kind of nice to reiterate that this is an all-inclusive for adults only and that it's been remodeled. There's only 291 rooms on that side. And the decor is modern Mexican hacienda. So I want my clients to know that. So if you feel like there's some tidbits or descriptions about the hotel that you want them to know, grab that too. So now we have that. I'm going to hit enter for another bullet point, and then the what to know area. Yeah, we'll just take it for the sake of the video. And there. So that is there. What to know. I'm going to put that in bold. And we are going to hurry up and get some of the photos that we need. Image. Oh, I don't know why I did that there. Let me come over here again. Images. Let's see if we can do this one. I love a good aerial photo. See, fingers crossed, will it take? I hope so. I'm gonna grab this beachy one that looks appealing. I don't really need to show the check-in. I see that these photos are directly on the Hyatt site, so it's a little harder to in that TravelJoy won't populate from the Hyatt site, but if you click on them, it will recommend other photos that are like this, right? So now I see down here, Travel Off Path has that photo, and I would like to use it. So I'm going to drag and drop it from that particular source versus the Hyatt. It's also nice to show some type of like grandeur of the inside of the hotel. So a good lobby photo is good. And then of course we want to grab a room photo. This is also from the Hyatt, so kind of got to keep scrolling. Oh, let's take this one. Remember, you can always add to your search here the actual room type and look for that specific room type. That's what I would do. I'm just kind of grabbing the room so that we can show this process. Okay, so now I have my 5 photos. I know that when I select this room type and move forward to the payment, that is going to come up. And get rid of that. We will wait for the new pricing to come up. This is going to be $30.90 plus the $50. And divide that by 2. We have $15.70 per person is our total for option 3. So I'm going to come back over here. $15.70 per person. And of course, remember I said I like to grab those section lines and list them underneath package options and rates. So that was option 3. Let's grab option 2. Where'd it go? Here we go. Enter. Make sure I put option as a bolded there. And now we have our 1, 2, 3 section titles, which are our options, along with the resort name and the cost per person. Then we go to the meat and the potatoes, which is our elements area, where we are going to tell them the type of room, the hotel information, the room information, and the photos. When you are looking at the overall view of your trip, you want to include your travel dates, the deposit amount, the final due date, what's included, list your optional insurance options, flight information along with their departure city, give them the outbound and inbound. This is a non-stop, but if it was a one stop for 3 hours, you would put one stop, slash 3 hours or 2 hours here. Your package options and rates, we're doing a quick recap so that clients can see the information right at the top being displayed, but also noting the terms in so many words. So again, you might want to include those cancellation dates. Let's see if terms and cancellations. Hotel cancellation policies is where you would find it for Vacation Express. But if there's like no cancellation penalty before final payment or before 2 weeks before departure, something like that, you would also want to put in this please note area. Now is when we would look at the final product of how it'll look on your client's view. And here we go. So we have our main photo in the background, our test trip for Cancun. We have our travel dates are nicely displayed along with the deposit and final due date and the inclusions. We have our optional travel insurance. So no one can say, hey, you never told me about insurance or that was an option. You can even add a note with Vacation Express that it must be applied within 7 days of deposit. That's a really good one to note under the actual travel insurance area, but also in the please note area. You have your flight information, which is displaying nicely with the airlines and departure city, your inbound, outbound times, and if this is a nonstop. We have our package options that are also displaying nicely so that they can kind of see from the get-go how much these are, but that's also going to be reiterated on this right-hand panel. With the TravelJoy Smart Proposal, if they click on an element and it highlights, that also means that when you click on it, it'll take you directly to that section. We are using 5 photos, so the display is looking really nice and I like it. I love it like this. Of course, if you want to do more photos, go for it. I definitely don't recommend using less than 3 photos because you got to remember, photo 1 is always going to be this header section photo. And then if you do 2 more, they're just going to be 2 photos here and here. You won't get like the 2 smaller ones in the middle. So this all looks great from a client standpoint. So that kind of concludes how to make a smart proposal using, saying, a Caribbean-based trip where there isn't a daily itinerary. And the next portion of this video, we are going to go over those FIT daily itinerary options. So I'm going to go back to edit proposal. And in my test trip, I am going to select create smart proposal, and we will be doing this from scratch. Now, for the sake of time, since we kind of already went over some things, I am going to grab this and use it as my example and put that here. Anytime you copy something, it doesn't hold like the bold, the underline, and sometimes it doesn't even hold the italicized information either. But let's just, for the sake of time, this is what we're going to use. And I'm not, no. Enter, and then here, come up, move that. And boom. So get my outbound and my inbound. Now, from this, I see that my travel dates are going to be March 9th through the 13th. In this, I would like to pretend, I'm going to just say Delta Airlines. I would like to pretend that we are going to somewhere not in the Caribbean. Let's say we are doing let's say we are doing, trying to think of a good destination we can quickly kind of do FIT for. Let's say we're doing Athens, but that we're doing Greece. So I will start there. To Athens, let me pull that up. And I said March 9th through the 13th. That's kind of short. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to push this out March 9th through the 17th, just so that we can really get this itinerary going with the proper amount of time that we'll need. And let's see. Okay. Just trying to get that information that we need from the vendor so we can get started on that. Okay, that is being a little difficult. Okay, so for Athens, we are going to use Delta Airlines. Let me close out this. Here I have, again, March 19th through the 17th, but I want to say for my airlines that we are flying from JFK. And I'm using, in this particular instance, I'm using JFK because I know that they have nonstop flights from there. But of course, you want to use the departure city that you need. So I'm going to say March, I said 9th through the 17th. Now, of course, this is not the vendor that most people who are booking these types of destinations are using. But I'm using Delta because I know that you can add flights on a payment plan to Greece. So here we have a nonstop that leaves at 5 p.m. and arrives into Greece, Athens at 10 a.m., which is great. So I'm going to back this up a little bit in that I'm going to make some changes. I'm going to change this from a standard booking to a multi-destination, just because some people don't know this, and I'm just using this as an example for our newer agents. And I'm going to say I want to go to JFK to Athens. I'm going to do a multi-destination. I'm going to say Athens to Mykonos, and then Mykonos back to Athens, and then Athens on home to JFK, where we want to go home from. We are looking to leave on March 9th. That means you will be arriving into Athens on the 10th. And when you arrive, you do not need a hotel room. So we'll leave that 0, but you do need a flight. And then this period of Athens to Mykonos, that is actually going to start on the on the 10th, because that's when you arrive into Athens, we're going to look for the ferry, the afternoon ferry from Athens to Mykonos. And you do not need a flight, but you do need a room. So one room. And then from Mykonos back to Athens, let's say you stay there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nights. So you're going to be checking out on the 16th. That's when you want to come back from Mykonos to Athens. And you do not need a flight, but you do need a hotel. And then from Athens back on home, we are going to say that is the 17th. You need a flight, but you don't need the hotel. We have 2 travelers, and we're going to push forward with this. Okay, so now we do have our, this is telling you need your legs, meaning each connecting point that we listed. This is the first leg, and the fourth leg is where we're having our flights to and from home. I see that if I leave at 5:15 p.m., I'll arrive into Athens at 10:10. I'm just going to scroll and see if there's anything a little earlier in terms of arrival, but I don't see that. So I'm going to rock with the 10. But if you are looking to do that ferry the same day of arrival, you want to keep in mind that you may want to arrive before 10 o'clock, because usually the ferries run twice, and the second one is at like 12:30. So if there is a missed flight or delay, you could miss your ferry. So keep that in mind. But let's select that first flight. Then on the way home, so we have our first flight up here. Great. Now we're looking at our return. This is an 11 a.m. flight. These are nonstop, which we like, right? I'm going to choose the 11:25 directly through Delta versus Air France or KLM. And I'm also working with economy flights, and we will click forward. So I know that in our flight, it said that it would depart at 5:15. I'm going to use 5:30 and put PM. Arrival at, I think it was 10:10 in the morning. Again, I'm going to say 10 a.m. Non-stop, which is great. But I also want to put here in the non-stop that it's next. Either put next day or say that September 10th, right? Because that's the day that they're actually arriving into Athens. And I'm going to bold that because I really want them to pay attention to that. On the return home, they leave at 25 a.m. and get home at 4:30 p.m. I'm going to put 11:30. Was it 11:30 a.m.? Did I say a.m. right? Yeah, 11:25 a.m. to 4:35 p.m. So I'm going to say 4:30 p.m. So boom, we've got that. Now we're going to look at the first leg is, hey, what hotel you want in Athens. Okay, so none of these are available, but let's pretend that they were for the sake of how to do this. I like the Mykonos Amos, so that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to grab the hotel name, and I'm going to, okay, so we know the first section is March 9th, depart for Athens. Second one, March 10th, arrive in Athens. And in here, the first element, of course, is that we want to put the ferry. And we'll say Athens to Mykonos. I know that the ferry time is 12:30 p.m. because I use the same one all the time. And of course, maybe add a little picture of the ferry boat. The other element we're going to use is actually the lodging, the hotel. So I'm going to put the Mykonos Amos hotel. And what is our dates again? Our dates were the 10th through the 17th. So we're looking at March. We would need to put March 10th through the 16th. That would give us 6 nights. Right. Yes. 6 nights at this hotel. So I'll put 6 nights. And then whatever the room type that we are going to select. They do have a deluxe beachfront front room, and that I know that that's the one I would use. I put that there. Again, we can highlight the room type down below. Hotel info, room info, and oh, sorry, not we want, and put this here, and bold and italicize as stated before. Now, every vendor has something different. This one is not really a good description of the resort, but it does have some good facts in terms of how far it is from, say, the ferry port, what beach it's on, a 15-minute drive to a few other places. There are only 50 rooms here, so that makes it really personal. There's mini bars, TVs, smart TVs, all of that. And it says enjoying the Mediterranean cuisine. There are 3 restaurants, and there are massage treatments. So let's copy, paste this information for the sake of time. And it's a lot. Gonna take that. Yeah, enjoy, make yourself at home, and treat yourself. Okay, treat yourself is enjoy. Make yourself at home. Okay, that's 3-1. Now, in terms of the room information, of course, you can go to Mykonos Amos Hotel and look at their description of the room type. Rooms. Deluxe beachfront is the room that I want. This is a great view, and I always try to include this photo when I quote, because it really tells people like, hey, this is where you're about to be, and it's nice. So I'm gonna just grab that room description, and of course I'm going to minimize this again, and I want to go back and grab photos, because that is definitely the name of the game, right? So let's grab these photos of the Mykonos Amos. Again, a great aerial shot of what's going on here. And let's see. I love this photo as well for the client's view, like an aerial, and then versus a land view of the beach. And then I do kind of like to include this because at least it lets them know that there is a pool there. But most people are not, I I guess you could say, looking for the pool view. So I would say deluxe beach front and see. Room. So here is that view that I told you that I really like to grab, so that they have it. And then, so this is another angle of a different beachfront room. That one is also pretty good, that I see that clients really engage well with. And then, of course, you would want to grab a picture of the room itself. This one is like the smaller room, so we don't want that one because the beachfront room is not this little tiny one. It's a little bit bigger. It's more like this one, but this is an ocean view from the top. But it is a good view. You want to show that there's some size there. So again, you would want to play around with what room description, but I'm just going to grab this for the sake of keep moving forward. So now we have our room. Then we know that arriving to Athens, 6 nights there. You can add additional sections for, say, excursions. So let's say March 11th is a day at leisure. Then we have March 12th. Maybe you have an excursion. And let's just kind of copy a couple of these because we got all the way until the 16th here. You may not have an excursion every day between the 11th and the 16th. So let's just say we're going to do 2 excursions spread apart, or 3. The 12th, they'll do an excursion, not the 13th, but on the 14th, they'll do an excursion. And the 15th, they'll do an excursion. That means you have left is the 16th, which is our ferry, and it'll be Mykonos to Athens. And then in this, you also will have your hotel. And the hotel that we are going to choose. Okay, I know this just for me. In Athens, I would probably choose either the Sofitel, which is located at the airport so that they don't have to wake up so early. So I'm going to choose that. Hotel Athens Airport. And I'm going to use that here. And that room type, we will just say deluxe king. And hotel info. And we'll just do the hotel info because this is just really one night. It's not a lot going on there. I'm going to grab the description from booking.com. Or you can even grab it from, say, TripAdvisor. Both of them usually have the same description, to tell you the truth. But in terms of format, some people just like what they like, what vendor to kind of look at that for. So put that there. We know that this is the Sofitel Airport. And we will need some photos. In the photo section, of course, a good overview of said room, hotel, And then a picture of the room and bathroom as a combo is good. You can show the front desk if you like. If you want to, this might even be nicer here. And then we're done with that. We will move over into the 17th is our next section. March 17th, departure home. So we have that. Now we just got to kind of decide what excursions you want. For the sake of this, I'm going to use Viator as the vendor, I guess you could say, for Mykonos. Let's say semi-private catamaran cruise is good. So let's say semi-private day 12 private. It says with meal, drink, and transportation. We'll just say Mykonos with lunch. Oh, wait, I forgot to put catamaran. I don't know why I did not do that. Private cruise. Okay, private cruise with catamaran. And then you also need to add, I would use the activity tab because it really highlights that this is an excursion that's being included. Again, I'm just going to, or what you could do is cut that and just say item here and semi-private cruise is probably what I would leave here. And for your description, we're going to go back and of course use their description. And you need a photo. Gonna need a photo. Gonna need a photo. Click. Will this let me get? Let's see. So these are some pretty good photos to include if you want, or grab. Oh, it's not letting you do that. So let's do it this way. Mykonos. Find an image that looks nice. This one looks pretty good. And so does this one. This one looks a little fun too. I like to use pictures with, in the water or an aerial view. It's choose your photo that you like and drag and drop. All right, so now we have that as our first excursion. The next excursion, let's see, maybe a wine tasting is the name. We will say March 14th. Wine tasting. Add our element. And add our description. And of course, you would want some type of photo. Wine tasting in Mykonos. Find the photo that you like the most and drag and drop. Then maybe for the next one, let's see what else they have. Okay, this is a cooking class that could work. Or if they want to do a private tour of Delios, you could use that as well. Let's just use that for today. This is a Delios day trip. And of course, at our activity tab, activity name, the description, and you need a photo, of course. Now, I'm not going through every last step of the quote, if that makes sense, in terms of pricing, because as agents, we should already know about pricing the quotes. I am just kind of showing you how to get the design of your quote to look nice so that you are able to present your quote options to your clients so that they look great, essentially. Now, if you are looking or trying to figure out like, hey, SADE, these are elements that are being pulled in from different vendors. How do I keep track, or how do I kind of total this out? Let's take a quick look at what that's going to look like. So in the client's record, when you're in TravelJoy, you have a notes section. I personally suggest that you list the links or the pricing and the links to every element that you're doing. So we know that Delta is doing our flights and hotel. Excuse me. And whatever that price is, we're going to put that there. Then the excursion will say wine tasting, Delios tour, and cruise. So our Delios tour, let's see. Did I need to go back? Our Delios tour here, I'm going to say share with client, and I'm going to grab this link so that way me as the travel agent, I know where I got this from and how to go back. When you select the date, we said March like 15th or something, or 14th. We put it in the dates, how many guests, and then it'll tell you that the pickup is included and how much it is. So this right here is basically $517 per person. So I'm going to put $517 per person, and then the link to that booking, because I need to be able to find it. Then the same thing with, say, the wine tour or the boat tour or whatever. You're going to come here, put in your pricing, what it is per person, and then put that link so that you can go back and find it. And these should be in your notes so that you don't lose them. Like, you definitely don't want to lose them. And wine tasting. And we know that, let's say with Delta flight and hotel, we're looking at $4,000, or $2,000 per person, just for the sake, per person. So now we know. Now when I come down here, I'm going to look at the total, the $2,000, the $80, the $517, and the $200. Total that up, whatever your total is. I'm just throwing out a number here per person is how I need to know, like, hey, this is the amount. The $3,700 per person is what I'm going to give my client as their total, and keep that in mind. So that's where you would put those notes. Click save so that you can come back to it. Same thing if you are pulling the transfers and the ferry from another vendor into your booking with Delta, because Delta does not offer the ferry between the two, Athens and Mykonos. They do occasionally cover the transfers, like from the airport to the cruise port, and then from the cruise port to the hotel that you're staying, providing that you book the hotel through them. But if not, and you're using Viator for the ferry, you're using them for the transfers, make sure you add transfers and ferry, cost per person in this note section for yourself. Okay, so moving forward, we now have a bit of our elements checked off our box. We've got the 9th through the 17th. We have our daily itinerary is kind of out there. The 11th is a day at leisure. For the sake of kind of showing it, I'm also going to add the 13th and note that this is also a day at leisure. So the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, and they should be returning home. Under our tab here, of course, under your inclusions, flights, hotel, daily breakfast, taxes, transfers, ferries, put all of that in here as well. And then your flight information and any important information, like how we did on the previous trip. We had, let's see, our test Cancun trip here. We are going to note that down below we had package options and rates in the please note area. I'm going to grab that, put in my please notes area. And this is it. I'm okay. Greece Adventure is the name of my trip. And from a preview proposal, we have our travel dates, inclusion, deposits, all that stuff is displayed nicely. Your flight info from Delta, excuse me, your departure and daily itinerary is showing very nicely. Of course, because these elements are live, if the client clicks on the first hotel, it's going to take them right there and give them that option. I wanted to show you guys what it looks like when you're only giving them the one option hotel in each destination. So you have like Mykonos, Amos, and then the Sofitel at the airport. What you could do is keep, in this situation, I would just keep the Sofitel Athens as definitely the one night in Athens. But if you want to give them more than one option of hotel in Mykonos, we would use that same, option 1, option 2 kind of thing. So Mykonos Amos is already there. So we would just put option 1 and leave that. And then we would want to add another hotel item. Where it's at the bottom. Drag that on up over here. make this our option 2. And let's say for option 2, we will use the Palladium Hotel. Get out of this one. Our option 2 is the Palladium Hotel, and we are staying 6 nights. Did I put 6 nights and the room type? The room type, let's see. In Mykonos. In the meantime, let's grab our hotel information. Put that in here. And for the room types, let's go with the Elite Sea View suite. Where did it go? Let's just click on one. This one is the Grand Suite with a private pool. So 6 nighs, Grand Suite, private pool. Of course, that would be really, really, really nice to showcase the specific room type to your clients. Palladium Hotel Mykonos, and we'll put in that Grand Suite private pool. Look up our images and bring this over. Boom. That is a nice one to choose from. So I'm going to grab that and bring it into my photos. This one looks pretty good as well. Grab that. And I also want to grab some just area photos, not just the room. I love a good night sky in the pool view. So I'm going to drag that over. Because this night sky view is darker, it's darker, I won't make that my main photo, but I do want the clients to see that. So maybe I would grab a daytime view of the pool as well, but the last one was nicer. Let's see. Yeah, a nice little daytime view. You want to give them bright vacation feel, vacation vibes. When something is too dark, sometimes we're human, we're visual, and a dark photo may lose the sale. So let's consider that when we're out here picking these photos. And for the sake of price points, I'm going to make up my price points. And let's see. And rates. Option. So I know this. I want to use my bullet point and my bold. Then I'm going to go over here to my Mykonos Amos. Copy that. Make that my option 1 and my bold. So from here you can put in that this is $3,700 per person, and maybe the Grand Palladium is $4,000 per person. And when you do that, now you have your options with the hotel name, how many nights, and the room type, and the price per person. And from I don't know why I still have that beach photo back there, but from a display area, you can now see of course, the meat and the potatoes, the travel dates, deposits, inclusions, flight information, your package rates, your please note section, and then a daily itinerary. They can even see that there's an option 1, option 2 now listed here. So for today, this is pretty much it for today. That's closing us out. You can get this nice, beautiful itinerary. We have walked through how to create the itinerary, both in basic Caribbean versus daily itinerary if you are adding elements like ferries and excursions, how to also include the meat and potatoes of your quote, meaning travel dates, flight times, booking restrictions, deposit amounts, all those good things. And of course, if you are using deltifications, I'm just going to, I guess you can't switch over because there's no hotels available on the state. But as you go through the deltification screen or any other vendor screen, they will give you the option to add insurance and list out the types of insurances and the price points. So you want to make sure that you're adding that and paying attention to those dates. So with that being said, I appreciate your time today. I know we've had a long class, but I hope that this is helpful for anyone that is new to travel, but also looking to really get a better understanding on how they too can create these amazing looking quotes. And I will also post a link in my comment section so that you too can see these for reference. Again, my name is SADE, and I thank you for watching today.